Hello, everybody! After a week off, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Olympians of all ages, Grimjack 21502 proudly brings to you your Project Athena. Around you, you see your Olympians, gods on high, but tonight, will they be laid low? Who knows? Only you can determine their future. Only you can witness what course fate has directed for them. But before we get into the actual course of events, let us see how our players are doing after 2 weeks. Allison!
Hey everybody, it's Allison. I play Caitlin Jane O'Callahan, aviatrix extraordinaire, princess of the skies, America's flying sweetheart. And kids, buckle up. Katie's got her plane back. Here we go.
I'm buckled up. You can't see it. This chair has a lap belt. It is pulled and yanked uncomfortably, but I am buckled in. Speaking about uncomfortable, thank you for the subscription. You won't be disappointed, especially not tonight. But speaking about things that are uncomfortably latched to you, Lauren, how are you doing tonight? I'm joking. Just go.
Hi, everyone. I'm so happy to see you all. And Greg's here too. Hi, I'm Lauren. I'm Not Salty Ginger on Twitter. And tonight I'm playing Miss Sabella Maria Ives of Ives Esoteric and Antiquarian Bookstore on the beautiful Lower East Side of Manhattan. I'm actually in my bookstore, which is exciting. What's not exciting is the fun pool of blood there. Sabella's psychic. She's adorable. She's not scared at all of what's about to happen. Everything's gonna be fine. That's me.
Oh, it sure will be. Because this is Project Athena, this is Pulp Cthulhu, and I haven't had 2 weeks to think about what I'm going to do to you guys. Oh no, I've been busy doing other things. I haven't. Steven, how's Dwight feeling? And how are you feeling? Are you ready to live?
Oh, you didn't know? Your ass better call somebody. That's what the Olympians are going to do. I play DOB. It's 1933. And then we're going to send them to DOA in 2018. Yeah, I got that right. There you go. I'm ready to go.
You ready to rock? Man, a few words, and when they do, they rhyme and they speak in condensed bursts, much like a sniper's arena of fire in his window. Speaking of condensed, no, the opposite of condensed, the man with the universe and the galaxy and the cosmos of personalities floating between his two ears, Strider, how are you doing tonight, my buddy?
Hey, what's going on? I don't have a intro like Steve's, man. He's been working on that one, I'm sure. Did you want to be a WWE man, Steve, when you were a kid?
I did love it.
First off, we still want to be in WWE. We're not giving up that dream.
I had an intro and everything.
I'd watch WWE like Seniors Division, man. That'd be great. In the meantime, though, I'm playing Elijah Sawyer, con man extraordinaire. I am ready for some sass. I want to sass Greg's stupid Castillo character. So, yeah, no further ado, man. Let's get into it.
And without any further ado, let's get to Lindy. Lindy playing our illustrious ex-Nazi, Greta von Kraus. What have you got for us? Followers, thanks for joining the party, pals. Let's do this. You get to listen to Lindy now. Come on.
Hello, I am Laszlo Lindy, and I'm here today to play Greta von Kraus, German scientist and bioengineer, basically a brilliant medical mind. And she's currently in New Jersey with Kate right now, I believe, stuck in an airport for now. We don't know how this is going to go, but it's going to go real interesting, and I cannot wait to see what happens tonight. I've been waiting 2 weeks.
I think maybe near Kate, but not necessarily with Kate. Let's just be clear about that.
Okay, sure. She's in the nearby proximity of Caitlin O'Callahan. Does that work for you? Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
for now.
I think that works for Greta too. So, all right.
Okay. Before we get started, I would like to say that even though it is still a few days away, summer has appeared already. And all of the Olympians that are currently in this stream have just received 2 crits from Summer. So you should thank your lucky stars. So when Midsummer's Eve shows up and you're wondering, what should I be doing? Is there a sacrifice? Where's that ox? Remember summer and remember this moment. Well, you're Olympians. I'm going with that whole Greek theme. All right, whatever. Everybody else, if there's anything coming in, somebody said something about that. If you have subscribed, you get 2 Nat 20s to give to anybody that you see on the screen. If you have someone like that, Ken, if you would be a dear and tether those all up so I make sure that the appropriate Olympians or your illustrious keeper gets awarded those Nat 20s, I will make sure that they are presented in stream. But before we get started, as we always do, we say goodbye now to 2018. Goodbye to the ridiculousness of the day, the worries, the fears. Sam Malone has opened the door and ushered us back from 2018 to 1933, where everybody knows the name of Caitlin Jane O'Callahan. Caitlin Jane O'Callahan is an aviatrix of some powerful renown, but she has been missing for several months, presumed dead. And if it wasn't for the actions of a mayoral candidate in New York City, perhaps she would have gone unnoticed. Perhaps she would have been left. Perhaps if it hadn't been for Honest Pete Abraham, she never would have been found and recovered here. But before we start in on exactly what Kate has in store for her, as tonight's episode is called Air Superiority, we will first ask her player, Allison, what is Kate thinking at this moment? It's been 2 weeks, and instead of doing a recap, I'd like to know what we have in the characters' minds before the action begins, that moment, that beat, before the other shoe drops.
Well, Kate is standing on the airfield with one of her very best friends in the world on her arm, Charles Wally Wallace, who's just brought Calamity Jane back to her. And although you've not had a chance to see it yet, she is kind of overwhelmed on the inside with the emotion of this moment. She's also a bit overwhelmed with the fact that she hasn't actually slept since their last night in Borneo, and a lot has happened since then that she hasn't had a spare second to sort of think or feel about. So yeah, it might be about to sort of all come tumbling out here.
Okay, and as we end the thoughts of Caitlin Jane O'Callahan, as she is sitting there seeing her bird, seeing her friend, captured at this crossroads of secrets and facts, I will let you know this. Kate, as you are watching or kind of doing a very emotional pre-flight check with Caitlin or with Calamity Jane, you hear Calamity's radio start to crackle. Miss Sabella Ives, you are currently in your bookstore in the Lower East Side of Manhattan. Ives, Esoteric and Antiquarian Bookstore. You have been presented with numerous facts as you have had Phil Castillo, a friend, and Daryl Lecht, Elijah Sawyer, a friend. Get into it at the bottom of your first floor of your establishment, but when you went upstairs, thinking to see Jack in the bed where you left him, you did not find Jack Kilgrave, nor did you find Syl Jefferson, but you did find a 2 foot by 4 foot smear of blood. Mint Magician, thank you for the cheer, my friend. What would you, and what particularly is the one with the biggest brain thinking at this point?
Oh, let's see. I'd say it's an overwhelming wash of guilt, which is super, super fun to be feeling. This place that was my home and pretty much the only family I had left has been destroyed by people who claim to be my friends and stained. And I feel like I'm becoming more and more like them all the time, and it does not feel good. So I know that she wants to do whatever she can to make up for it. And if that means sticking her hand in some blood, that's what she's going to do.
Sometimes you just have to palm down on some blood. Mm-hmm. I've been there.
Don't tell me the story.
Well, okay. Oh, we'll save that. Gen Con, everybody. I'll be on the main floor telling that story at Gen Con this summer. Before we go any further, I would like to say that Grant has given a nat 20 to Steve. Katie has given a nat 20 to both Allison and Lauren. And the Mint Magician has given a nat 20 to Strider and Lindy. Keep track, Olympians. You've got friends somewhere. Speaking of friends, with the crossroads of Kate, the crossroads of Sabella, Stephen, what is Dwight Burke thinking at this point?
Dwight is thinking he is very uncomfortable. He's not happy about being in the bookstore because every time they go to the bookstore, something bad happens. Anywhere they go in New York City, something bad happens. He's basically trying to catch his breath, trying to, he's banged up. All he's thinking about is trying to find somewhere that they can hide, somewhere they can lay low and maybe figure out what they need to do. We figured out about the tug bag. It's just, that's in the back of his mind. And he's also just watched Strider and Phil, and he's thinking, is he going to have to use this bullet? Is it going to turn that way, not turn that way? He doesn't want to. He wants to take a break from actual combat and kind of just rest for a moment. In all honesty, that's what he would. That's probably where he'd be at with it right at that moment.
I hear a lot of requests for rest, but as they say, there is no rest for the wicked, nor is there a nap for Olympians. But perhaps, should this gauntlet be run, and should the goal at the end, much like the Golden Fleece, grabbed and wrapped about you, it could turn into a Snuggie and you could fall into at least a helpful nap or sleep. And speaking of helpful, what is Elijah Sawyer, derelict, General Chrysanthemum thinking at this moment, Strider?
Oh, Greg, it's always a dangerous proposition to go inside Elijah's head. It's a dichotomy and a hurricane. Phil is his only friend, and he wants more than anything else right now to watch the life flicker out of his eyes. His Olympians have been friends and family to him, but they might be impeding his personal agenda. So he's torn up internally about that, but on the outside, on his exterior exoskeleton, he's going to keep the big glasses on, keep the big smile plastered across his face, and we'll see where the chips lie after this is all said and done, huh?
Much like a game of poker, this one's going to come down to the tells. And somebody that's kept their hand very close to their vest is Dr. Greta von Krause. Lindy, what is Dr. Greta von Krause thinking at this moment, as she has been somewhat, and a lot of it not to her knowledge, revealed to her fellow Olympians in a way that she has not done so herself?
Lawrence, yeah. Greta is probably feeling a lot of frustration at just the generic situation that she's gotten herself into. Covered in sewer grossness from whatever that elevator was, the lack of a science lab. She hasn't scienced in days. Do you know how painful that is for her? It's ridiculous. There's like brains in a freezer she hasn't touched yet. And also she's probably a little nervous, maybe a tad scared, but I don't think she's quite emotional to be scared, so she's probably just nervous from both Mr. Strider, because she feels like she might know a little too much for his comfort, and Kate, after what showed up in the purple haze last time we played. So she's probably just a little nervous, a lot of frustrated, and a little tired. But she finished up some getting hold of the Olympians, so
she's working the wires. She's doing some calls right now.
Making some calls.
That one girl donated $9, or doll hairs, as my buddy Mike likes to call them. And I will see exactly. I already have a feeling, but I will take a look. Crits for the boys. Boys, get them crits.
Boys' night.
Is that me too? Do I get a crit?
$9. That's three boys, right?
That's three. I should get
For
one
Phil.
too. It's for Phil. That's fine. Phil would love one. So would Dietrich if I could use that. Oh, Dietrich can too? Great.
No, he's not
awesome.
here.
Awesome.
No,
I love it.
that's not
Great.
how it
Okay.
works.
That's how it works. Yes. Yes. I've had confirmation.
Nope.
Mark him down. I
Yep.
know I am. Shaky, shaky. Okay, so what happened last? In 1933, you have the thoughts of the Olympians as they stand here. Kato Callahan before her jewel, her prized possession, the other half, the yin to her yang, Calamity Jane, the prototype aircraft that was fashioned with her side by side with Jack Parsons. We have Sabella Ives, who has just uncovered perhaps yet another mystery to solve in the upstairs of Ives' Esoteric and Antiquarian bookstore. We have Dwight Burke and Elijah Sawyer downstairs, surrounded by the mafioso Phil Castillo, a very dangerous individual who can turn himself into fire at will. An NPC who is kind of floated further and further into the orbits of particular Olympians, especially Miss Ives, who, well, they're friends. And so finally we have Dr. Greta von Krauss, who, as alluded to before in our last episode, a person by the name of Robert Meadham displayed a vision, a historical event, a hallucination, a fraud, but a vision nonetheless that Kato Callahan saw of Dr. Greta von Krauss talking to their enemy, Joseph Dietrich. And Joseph Dietrich was telling her what to do to the Olympians, very conspiratorially. But before we get into all of that, there is a crackling radio on an airport, a small dirt airstrip in New Jersey, a crackling radio that is coming from Calamity Jane.
I jump up onto the to the wing where I've been just sort of checking my girl out, and since the cockpit's already the hatch is already open, I kind of lean down in and start turning the radio knobs. It shouldn't be on at all at this point. It shouldn't be getting any power. This is really strange.
Also, before we get any deeper into this, I will let you know that Grant's second crit goes to Lindy. And Katie, you have 2 crits. As she's cheered so much, Katie has given 2 crits for everyone. So, with the cheers coming in, stack up those crits, Olympians, as you are going to need them, as your friends in chat have given you all that they can to this point to make sure that you can survive the coming trials. But no one could hear me say any of that because I was muted. So I will go ahead and say that the crits have been awarded, everybody in chat. Katie, thank you very much. The Olympians have been given your blessings. Grant, Lindy has been given your second crit. And as we are sitting here and Kato Callahan grabs or is looking inside, a crackle of a voice comes over the radio inside of Calamity Jane. And it says, Mr. Callahan, Kate!
I hop over into the cockpit and slide into the seat and try to tune the signal in, see if I can get it any clearer.
Give me a mechanical roll check for me, a mechanical repair.
I'd love nothing more.
Which you get advantage on, of course.
Thank you for the reminder.
I'm here to help.
We'll see. Extreme. Thanks for the... Good thing you reminded me. Extreme.
Yeah, it helps if I'd have roll 20 up too, as I've been incredibly excited. So with the extreme success as it comes up, you are able to twist and contort the frequency until you hear the voice of Thomas Mueller come through. Kate! Miss O'Callahan!
I grab the headset and just hold it up to my ears. Dr. Mueller, is that you?
Kate, I can't hold them off. And it's at this point that you see flashes in the distance by the Brooklyn Bridge area, and you see flashes of green as 2 Zeppelins appear to be circling that side of Manhattan and the bridge itself.
I fire up the engine, and as it's starting, yell down to Wally. Wally, have these guns been tested yet?
Mr. Parsons said he did. I didn't, though. I'm not real fond of guns.
All right. Hey, Wally, and I kind of, because the engines have now wound up, I'm calling him up to the wing.
Yeah, Kate.
You saw my friend who I was with, right?
Yeah, Kate, I'll take care of her. I'll get her where she needs to go.
Yeah, you do that. Stay close to her, and when she takes you back to all the rest of my friends, would stick with him and watch out for him. Would you? I need to go check this out. All right.
All right, yeah. He steps back as the prop goes full bore.
Kate leans back and pulls the hatch closed over her head, and takes a quick look around just to make sure that the area is clear, and then slams the throttles forward and points her to the runway.
Okay, so for the first time, as we have witnessed Caitlin Jane O'Callahan behind the controls of Calamity Jane, both pilot and plane become one as it roars to life, screams down the runway, and springs into the skies above New Jersey and quickly New York, as you are rocketing towards the site of what looks like some aerial battle between what you can now identify as a rocket-propelled Thomas Mueller and two German Zeppelins.
So I've go ahead.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. As you're flying off, and as Calamity seems to be just eager, but she's just a plane. She wouldn't really feel that way, would she? But as Calamity Jane is eager to both be in the skies again with Kate, she seems eager to test her newfound toys on these two very big balloons that are in front of her. But before we can discuss what happens in the skies, we must discuss what happens on the ground. Dr. Greta von Krause, you are quickly joined by Wally. Ma'am, where can I take you?
Hello. When she was just ending the phone call and looking around, I know some airports have tiny little gift shops, even if they're really small. Does this one have such a thing?
No, this is a landing strip.
This is just a landing strip. All right, cool.
Yep. So,
Well.
nope, it doesn't have any of that.
Okay. Yeah. She's going to say, that is Miss Fraulein O'Callahan.
Oh, Katie just took off, and he points, and you can see Calamity Jane climbing into the sky.
Balloons.
Yeah. And you can also see two Zeppelins in the distance floating around as you look. But it appears that Wally cannot.
Okay.
I guess she must want to try. She wants to take her on a trip. Kate in the planes.
Indeed. And I'm going to kind of look and be like, sigh. I will call this a taxi. Oh, wait, he had a car, didn't he?
No, he arrived in Calamity Jane.
Okay. I will call us a cab and we will go.
Okay.
Bring, bring.
Dr. Greta von Krause, as you walk over to the phone again, and you grab the receiver out of the cradle, as you pull it up to your ears, you hear the voice of Robert Needham as he whispers into your ear. Not from the phone. Not from the phone, but from another direction, the naked ear that you have. And you hear his voice. As promised, your secret. You're on a beach.
Okay.
And you can hear the waves crashing. You're not sure exactly what beach it is. You're not sure if you're facing north, south, east, or west. But it appears to be in the evening, and your vision is limited. Even though it is a clear night, the moon is not out. So you can hear the waves and see the black ink of the ocean waters. It sprays and sinks into the sand and recedes into its natural body. And you see a naked man stumbling toward you.
Okay.
After a few moments go by, he comes into clear view, and he is a thin, perhaps by the weathered look of his muscles, he's recently lost weight. As a doctor and a biochemist, you can tell the sag and the bit of the, it looks like there's been some atrophy going on, not caused by inactivity, but more caused by malnutrition or
By
lack.
malnutrition, yeah.
Yeah.
Emaciated.
And you notice he's not wearing a thing except for a large, what looks like a disc around his neck on a thin, you're not even sure if it's linked. It might just be a piece of wire. And there are iridescent symbols covering the top half of his chest, over his shoulders, up his neck, and even so far as his forehead. And as he stumbles directly up to you, but does not see you. And as he closes his eyes and looks around, you can see that there are several days worth of growth on his chins and his cheek. And it looks as if the man always wore at least some type of mustache, as its growth seems to be a little bit heavier, more intense. And he turns and you see him face out into the water, and he says, "Katie, I'm gonna find you. I'm gonna find you." And he kneels down. You see him drop to his knees as he faces out into the water. And you see the symbols along his chest, his head, they begin to glow, as does the medallion, this disc that is around his neck. And as he is sitting there, you see him rise from the sand, 1 inch, 2 inches. And as he's sitting there, his arms rock back, as it looks as if there is a wave of energy that's kind of touching each of the symbols, crawling up their light, and then jumping to the next one, back and forth across his chest, face, and shoulders. And with each of the waves, he seems to get a little weaker as a little more of his breath is taken from his body. It goes across. "I see it. I see it," as it keeps going back and forth and back and forth. And you see some of his hair at the temples turn prematurely gray, as there is a whitewashing that touches both of his temples. A few of the strands of his 5 o'clock shadow begin to turn white. "I'm coming, Katie." And his eyes open, and you see a cosmos inside each of them. There are no white, no pupils. It is just a universe of stars in both of these. And he drops to the ground. The vision cuts, and you see an airfield, not unlike the one that you're on, but this one is sparse in its outbuildings, but instead of being dirt, it is paved, it is lighted. It seems to be as advanced as a private aircraft field could be for 1933. And you see a man that you've just met as Wally standing there, and this gentleman that you saw on the beach, now fully clothed in a flight jacket, turns and hands Wally something. It looks like a box. He says, "Give that to her when you see her." And Wally goes to say something, but the man jumps into the cockpit of a plane that looks very similar to Calamity Jane. But as he pulls the canopy closed, instead of the Gunslinger of the West, Ozzy, thanks for the host, buddy. Instead of the Gunslinger of the West embossed on the fuselage of the plane, it is simply a playing card, a Jack of Hearts. And as the plane creeps out and rockets into the sky, it soon pulls out over the ocean. The same ocean, you're not sure how you know, but the same ocean that you saw the man staring off into as he was being pulsed with this power. Again it cuts, and this time you are flying beside the plane as the man inside is sweaty, manic. You see a few of the residual symbols kind of flashing off of his gaunt cheekbones, and you see him rocketing towards a maelstrom of dust. And as you look down, you see the shattered remains of Borneo. And above Borneo, where would be the atmosphere, the clouds, or the sky, is instead a swirl of dust. The dark volcanic dust, black pitch. But it is beyond that perhaps only you can see with this vision that you are experiencing. You see a tear of purple. And you see Jack Parsons fly into it. You wake up to Wally shaking you. Ma'am? Ma'am?
Ja? Was ist das?
I don't speak. Are you okay?
Oh, yes, yeah. Excuse me. Sorry, I was, I zoned out there is, I think, the term you use.
That's understandable, but, what can I do to help you? Where do we go? You said you were getting a cab?
Yeah, did I... Is there anything on the line, or is it still just the dead tone?
No, there would have been an operator that would have asked where you wanted to connect your call, but that person has since just given the line to dead.
Ja, ein Moment, bitte. One moment, bitte. And she's gonna, like, hang up, pick it back up. I will get us a cab. Apologies. He's fine. We're going to get hats. At the tank.
Hats?
Yeah.
Hat? Like a chapeau?
Yeah. Do you not know what a hat is? A hood? The hood? You put on your head? It disguises you from above? Yeah, it is perfect. Shush. And she's gonna call the cab.
You're able to get one. And as the camera pulls from this small strip in New Jersey, goes across the river and down into the Lower East Side of Manhattan, we see the front of Ives Esoteric and Antiquarian Bookstore as we are taken inside. We're going to start upstairs. Miss Sabella, this is your store. Mm-hmm. And two people that were here aren't here, but there's blood.
Yep. I'm going to walk out of the room and call down the stairs. Gentlemen, if you're all done measuring your manhoods, could you come up here, please? We have a problem.
Yeah, Phil will immediately start walking up the stairs.
Yeah.
Without looking back at anybody, he just says, yeah, we all know who would have won, if we were actually measuring. Right. He walks upstairs.
You think?
Like you, soldier boy. He gets up to the top and he walks up beside Sabella.
Phil, one thing that just occurred to me. I think I remember you saying you would never, use your fire in my bookstore, but I think 5 minutes ago you lit your hands on fire.
It wasn't my feet. It was my hands. I worked on that control shit you were talking about.
When, yeah. Phil?
I've been focusing a lot recently.
Okay.
So I've been drilling down and focusing.
Don't do it again.
All right.
Okay.
The way it makes a whip sound.
Sabella starts doing a breathing exercise to restrain herself. We have blood, in case you want to get serious for a second. Jack's not here, Sill's not here. And I'm going to find out what happened to him, and I'd just like you in the room in case it goes bad. Not that I have any idea what any of you would do about it, but come on in. This is my grandpa's room.
Jack's missing.
Yes.
Is there any spot hidden I can make GH do?
Yeah, you can absolutely do a spot hidden and see if any of your... see if you can find anything that perhaps Sabella couldn't.
Stream.
You are able to identify the same spot of blood that she identified, but you cannot find that it trails anywhere. It looks as if it is localized to a 2-foot by 4-foot section, one that doesn't seem to have any trace, track, or source of origin. Not from the ceiling, not from anywhere.
I think
So-
I can find out what happened here pretty quick. But it might not be pleasant. Any other suggestions? I'm taking suggestions for the next 30
Nothing
seconds.
about any of this is very pleasant, Sabella.
No suggestions.
Great. Yep. Well, I am tired of wasting time. So I rip off my gloves and I'm going to kneel down by the smear and put my hand in it.
Give me that roll.
Ooh. I just have so many crits that I'm just gonna use one right now. I think it's gonna be bad.
Okay, so you're using a crit.
Yeah.
I will tell you this, it takes a very brief period of time, but as you touch the blood that is cooled and very almost solid, it's still tacky a bit. You're able to see Jack as he is carrying Sabella. Or it's not Sabella, carrying Syl. Right. Oh my God, what happened? Yeah, Jack is carrying Syl, and you see him step in the same spot that you identified in the hallway.
In the hallway?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that smear, that 2-foot by 4-foot smear, was just outside of Grandpa's room.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry man, if I wasn't clear about that.
I gotcha. Does she look hurt?
She doesn't appear conscious, so he seems to be carrying her, but he is upright and walking.
How does he look?
Like shit.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. Do they go like down the back or out the front staircase? Like the direction.
The brief thing that you see is it looks like he was heading towards the back staircase, but your vision stops. And you see that sheen of almost kerosene on water look that you're familiar with, that somebody has altered what you're supposed to be seeing. And roll a d6 for me.
Yep.
That was insanity. That was
No, I
your
know what it is.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
So
All
yeah,
right.
you see that shimmer as it kind of pulses back at you and perhaps robs you of a little more energy than you're accustomed to with a reading such as this.
Does that make me think that it's like the vision? Because last time with the pocket watch, I don't believe it was. Do I feel like the whole thing has been altered or it's just been clipped?
It seems as if you reach a specific period in the track of the memory and that it has been smeared. Almost like you reached a portion of a painting that somebody took turpentine to.
It's so annoying. All right. Okay. I take my hand off the blood. Jack's awake. And someone's been here or done something.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
He did not look well. Well, definitely not that somebody's